What's up, guys? It's Werther. I wanted to talk to you guys today about how you can be a good training partner, whether you're a white belt, blue belt, purple belt, or a more advanced rank than that. Now, the biggest thing I can tell you if you're trying to be a good training partner is to prioritize your training partner's safety over your desire to win an exchange when you guys are rolling. This is very important. It's a fundamental agreement that you need to have between everybody that you roll with that, hey, I'm looking out over you before my own ego and desire to win the roll. That is a fundamental cultural concept that you need to have at the gym to make sure that everybody knows the deal and they're going to be safe, okay? This is especially true when it comes to white and blue belts, people that are still pretty new in jiu-jitsu. So when I'm rolling, I always apply my submissions, especially my joint locks, with control. I set them up as fast as I want, but I finish them slowly, and I have that as a rule in here. When we're rolling, I tell everybody, tap early, tap often, because you need to make sure that your ego is not getting in the way and you're not getting hurt as a result of you trying to win. But also, as the person applying the submissions, you can set them up as fast as you want, but when it comes to applying the braking mechanics, do it nice and slowly with control. Give your partner plenty of time to tap. And in the room, if it comes between hurting your partner and getting the submission, let it go, and then call them an idiot afterwards and tell them what was wrong. It's much better to admonish them afterwards than to actually have them suffer a major injury, because of both of your egos getting in the way. So you want to make sure that everybody in the school has that same mentality as a coach. That's something that you should emphasize with your students often. Like, hey, we're here to look out for each other, right? No one should be cranking submissions and getting people injured. And this primarily applies to joint locks. With chokes, you can go pretty hard. You can squeeze the crap out of someone right away because it's really easy to figure out like when you're about to pass out. And even if your training partner is super dumb and they let themselves get passed out, nothing almost ever comes from that. I personally have been made to pass out 3 times, funny stories, all of those 3. All of them as a result of my stupidity, by the way. It wasn't on my training partner. But joint locks are the major concern because those are going to lead to major serious injuries, especially if it's something like a shoulder lock, so you guys got to be careful with that. In conjunction with this, you need to make sure you're not spazzing. Now, if you're very new, this is very difficult. It's often said that the white belt is the most dangerous person in the room, and that's absolutely true, okay? You guys are the biggest danger to yourselves and others, no offense, love you guys. But it's not your fault. It's because you guys don't yet know the specific movements that you need to do that are safe. And when you're trying to get out of something, if you haven't drilled that position before, if you haven't internalized a response in your muscle memory, you're going to just try to randomly explode in a certain direction. And you yourself may not necessarily know where you're going to end up after doing that. And because of that, you may hurt yourself doing it or you may hurt your training partner. So the best thing you can do as a white belt to avoid spazzing, number one, if you're very, very new, stick to positional drilling in the positions that you guys have already worked and that certain things that you need to do both offensively and defensively. Don't scramble around to many different positions you haven't been exposed to yet because there's a much greater chance that you're going to make an incorrect movement. And incorrect not in the sense that you're going to get submitted, but incorrect in the sense that, you may hurt yourself or somebody else. So stick to the positions that you know in the beginning. That's the best thing that I can say if you're new. If you're more experienced and you've been in these positions and, you've still been accused of being a spaz when you're training, slow it down. That's the easiest thing you can do. So if your training partners, if your coaches are telling you like, hey man, like you're spazzing, like there's elbows and knees flying everywhere because you're just moving really quickly, focus more on being technical, slowing things down, and being precise in your movements. That should be your main focus. So generally speaking, you can do all of that by just slowing the roll down and figuring out what you're going to do. Now, obviously, this is going to lead to you losing more exchanges, at least in the beginning. But you'll develop a better mechanical understanding of what you need to do in certain positions. And, you'll be a much nicer person for people to roll with, and people will be more likely to roll with you, which is good, obviously. This one shouldn't even need to be stated, but guys, hygiene, okay? Deodorant, make sure you shower after class, make sure you brush your teeth, make sure you trim your nails. That's a big one. Make sure you trim your nails, okay? I've had an 8-inch gash coming down my neck from one of my students that collar tied me and they kind of missed and they scratched the crap out of me with their nails. Stung in the shower later, but whatever. But that kind of stuff is annoying. So you don't want to do that. Just use basic hygiene. And there's nothing really more that needs to be said about that. Also, if you're an advanced person and you're rolling with a beginner, don't just smash them and be like, hey, good job, man, and leave, It's beneficial to beginners that don't know what they're doing in many of these positions. Leave them with 1 or 2 tips that they can use to help improve their game. And as a coach, also make them realize, like, hey, as a beginner, you're going to get your butt kicked all the time, right? As a beginner, you are going to lose almost every exchange when you roll with someone that's been training longer than you, especially if they're a colored rank already. So if you're an advanced person, and you're smashing the white belts, which you should do, by the way, you need to smash the white belts, both for your own improvement and for theirs. Afterwards, give them some tips. If you're really, really advanced, you could even coach them through the roll if that's something that they're comfortable with, but don't do it every time. That can be annoying, if you're not an instructor, right? If you're an instructor and one of your teaching methods is to coach people through rolls if they're a significantly lower skill level than you, that's totally cool. But if you're not an instructor, that can be pretty annoying. So if you're going to do that, make sure your training partner is cool with it, and that's actually something that they'll respond well with. So those are some of my tips to be a good training partner, guys. If you guys have any additional tips, make sure you leave a comment, something that you've come across when you've been training, something you'd like to add, because I'm always interested in hearing other perspectives. Make sure you share this video to your friends if you like what I had to say. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell. All these things help us expand our message. So if you agree with what we say and you want to have other people hear this perspective, then make sure you do those things. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you guys next time.